Alrighty, folks, what's going on? This is Matt here for Dark One Lock Second Game, where is the fusion of Linux technology and gaming. And we are looking at a video that popped up across my feed because I like reacting to these videos because I always like asking myself and seeing why people use Linux over the other alternatives that are available to them. And this one was, why use Linux? It's not what you think. So let's see what he has to say as far as why he uses Linux and why it's not what we think it is.
This is the obligatory why I use Linux video. I feel like everybody who gets on here and talks about Linux has to do one of these at some point, and so I figure now is a great time to do so. Firstly, listen, I want to thank everybody for their support on the last video I put out. That was insane, that was crazy. I have no idea what happened there, but suddenly I have a lot more eyeballs on this channel than I thought I would get. And thank you all for your feedback and support. It was incredible. I'm still pretty new to this stuff, so all the feedback I received is very helpful, and I very much appreciate it. It's a little intimidating, to be honest, but look, we're going to keep it chill, we're going to keep it real, and we're just going to have fun with it, because at the end of the day, that's what we're all here to do. So, gather around for a fireside chat, or beachside if you prefer, because we're going to be jumping into some CS surf while I talk about why I use Linux. We're going to start with...
So, cool. I get no idea who this dude is. So props on any channel growth or whatever you might have gotten. Other than that, let's get into the why you use Linux part.
Start with a question. I got a question for you. If you went and asked the average Linux user why they use Linux, what do you think they would say? From my experience, the vast majority of the time, the reason that the average user uses Linux is actually a multitude of reasons. When you ask them that question, what they do is instead of telling you why they use Linux, they tell you why they don't use Windows. They'll rattle off for a little bit about why they don't like Windows, what Windows is doing wrong, that Windows is putting ads in their start menu, blah, 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 blah. You know, it's installing Candy Crush. They'll rattle on about all of the things that Windows is doing wrong. And as their reason that they use Linux. And that's fine, right? That's the reason why I switched to Linux, was because of all the things that I didn't like about Windows. Okay? But the thing is, if you go and ask that person a couple months later, you know, why are you using Linux? And they give the same response, they rattle off about all the things that they hate about Windows. I think there's a problem with that because it focuses more on what Windows is doing wrong versus what Linux is doing right. And if you say that to somebody, there are so many times where somebody has come and asked me, hey man, why do you use Linux? Why can't you just come and use Windows like the rest of us? And I have gone and rattled off about all the things that I hate about Windows. I've told them it's slow. I've told them it's buggy. I've told them I don't want ads for OneDrive. I've told them all of these things. Yet, 50% of the time, they agree with me, and 50% of the time, they take it as a personal attack. Right? Because they're thinking, I use Windows, and you're saying that the thing that I use is horrible. So therefore, you must be personally attacking me when that's not the case. And so you get into...
You could say, you could take that personal attack mentality and flip it to some of the Linux users about my distro can beat up your distro too. Just saying. Yeah, how you sell it, it really does matter. So like, what does Linux do that Windows doesn't, kind of thing, you know, Nintendo kind of advertising. And generally the best way I found is just be honest about what it doesn't do and what it does do. And the short version is, do you want to control what your PC does? Do you want to determine what software is on there? Do you want to determine X, Y, and Z? Then Linux is probably your better choice if you want control. If you want to put personal back in computing, Linux is probably the better option because of you wanting to personally be able to control, for the most part, your system and what you do and do not put on there, what you allow to have access and not, etc., etc. That is how we sell it. Trust me, Windows has plenty of problems, and I'll be the first to bash Windows and its many, many, many multitudes of problems. But I will also understand why people use it still. It's what they know. It's familiar. I mean, depending on your version. So it's all relative in that regard. So I get why people bash it as their like automatic way of doing it. It's just stupid though. If you're going to try to sell people on Linux, and people ask you why you use Linux, it's kind of like the Mac crowd sometimes when they automatically start bashing the other end of the spectrum. But what you also find is they talk about the features they fucking love as well, mixed in with that. It's the complimentary constructive criticism sandwich, good, bad, good, bad, good, bad, layered. So like Windows does this, but Mac does this. They have the comparison of what it does and doesn't do. So like with Linux, hey, this ships with a full, insert distro here. Generally, if you're most end users, this ships with a full Office suite. Cool. Microsoft, I'm waiting for the ads and Notepad kind of deal. So it really gives you that control and kind of like how you want to sell it, and we can sell it a lot better than we do. But anyway, I'm going to let them keep rolling.
Get into this big argument about how no, Windows is actually fine. With Linux, you're an idiot for using Linux. Why would you ever use Linux? Just come and use Windows. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. And you go on for such a long time. And it took me a while, but I finally figured out what keeps bringing me back to Linux. And so the fact of the matter is, when somebody asks me that question, my answer is now incredibly simple. And this is why I titled the video like I did. Because the answer is not what you think. The reason why I keep coming back to Linux, the reason why I'm a Linux guy through and through, apart from BSD on the server, is because it's more fun. That's it. When I use Linux, using my computer, when I sit down to get on my computer, I actually have fun using the computer. Using the computer is an enjoyable experience for me. And to be honest, I kind of feel a bit bad. I look at some of what the average computer user is doing with their computers, and it's kind of sad, honestly. Like the stuff that they have to put up with from their operating system, or the stuff that they don't really know how to do, and the workarounds they're using to get their stuff done anyway. It really kind of makes me feel sad, because I'm over here having this grand old time using this operating system, using this software experience that I crafted myself, and they're just not enjoying using a computer. And that's really...
And right there is what I was talking about. Control. An experience you crafted yourself. This was originally when somebody, there was it one of the Windows Phone tests or something along those lines. I don't remember if it was Windows Phone or if it was iOS or it was Android. And they told them how they were doing a comparison. It's like, oh, access this. And literally there was an Android widget for it. So it's one of those, like, because you can customize it to your experience. Like, on, as an example, on like my Android phone, I don't use the stock launchers. Like the default stock interface stuff annoys the shit out of me. I use AIO launcher, which is my preferred launcher. So like I get it. I totally understand it. And I don't think a lot of people get it. But you mentioned it, you crafted it so you controlled the experience. That's the key. And again, I'll keep saying it. Marketing, marketing, marketing. How you sell it matters. Control. You personally can control what you do and do not do with the system. Now, you having fun with it sounds like more because you enjoy technology. That's a different aspect of it. The way I sell it is that it doesn't get in your fucking way. That's the difference. But as far as to like a normal end user, all those issues that you would run into on some of the other platforms, you're still going to have issues on this platform, but generally it doesn't get in your way with some of the less than ideal features that the other ones will have. And it's not bashing the other platforms, it's selling the negative of a platform as a positive that your platform doesn't have. Like, or selling the lack of that thing as a positive for your platform. And that's really does matter.
It's really sad for me because I'm very passionate about computers and technology. I want people to enjoy the stuff that I enjoy, right? That's one of the reasons why I like making these videos on YouTube, because I want to share the passion with all of you guys, and I want you to have as much fun with this stuff as I do. So yeah, it kind of makes me sad. Kind of makes me a little sad. But that's why. And that whole thing avoids arguments completely. You just say, I just have more fun using it. And you can leave it at that. And some people don't really care about having fun with their computer, and that's fine too. Some people just want to sign on, get their work done, and call it a day, and that's totally fine. But personally,
And in there, you have probably 99.9% of the world as it relates to technology. Most of them just don't care. It's a tool to get some shit done. That's all they care about. But just flatly honest. And that's fine. I totally get it.
we're talking about personal reasons here. You know, this is going to change from person to person. And personally, my reason is that it's more fun. When I look at there's a great blog. I use KDE Plasma. There's a great blog by Nate Graham. He's one of the KDE developers. He's fantastic. He makes a blog called This Week in KDE, where he goes over all of the new things coming to Plasma in some of the upcoming releases. And it is so much fun because I think every time I look at that, I think, wow, the stuff that they're adding is going to make my experience more enjoyable. And that is so powerful. I guess you could draw the similarity to like the Windows Insider program or something like that, but you have to admit, when you talk to a Windows user about updates, it's usually not really seen as such a good thing. It's usually seen as something kind of a hassle.
So as far as the Windows updates, well, that's on a Microsoft thing, update Tuesdays and all that crap. They have made that thing an abomination. Oh, let's delete your files. Microsoft and its updates, at one point, I would say improved it. I don't know if it improves or hinders at this friggin' point anymore. And the way Microsoft goes about, let's say, pushing updates is not the most ideal. Like recently on the One X Player Mini over here that I have that still runs Windows 11, I had a update in the middle of my game. No choice on the matter. Windows just updated. Awesome. All that data that I had, totally lost for that. That was like a 2-hour play session, so I lost like 2 hours worth of an RPG. I don't have a lot of time to do that kind of length time-wise of gaming anymore. So somebody to do that for my entertainment, how the fuck am I going to rely on you for my work? Because that's a whole different story. So I totally get the why people kind of work on the updates and the hassles of Microsoft, because Microsoft has made it a hassle. Windows as a product is just not good.
Rather than fun. But when I look at Nate Graham's blog, I just think, wow, these guys are going to make my experience a lot more fun in the next coming updates, and it gets me excited. When you think about Linux, really what it does is it lets you craft your software experience, and that's why you can make it so enjoyable for yourself. Now, I want to switch gears for a second here and ask you another question. And the question is, how many of you have built a computer before? Hands up. Hands up in the class. Class is in session. How many of you have built a computer before? If you have, that's fantastic. I'm happy for you. It's a lot of fun to do. It's good for your skills. And you learn a whole bunch. And if not, that's totally fine too. The reason I bring this up is because Linux lets you craft your software experience, and building a PC helps you craft your hardware experience. If you think about it, they're actually quite similar. They're kind of like the yin and yang. You can craft your hardware experience with building a computer. You know, you can make it as big or as small as you want. You can make it as powerful or slow as you want. You can make it as cool, as quiet, or as loud as you want. You can craft your hardware experience. And on Linux, you can craft your software experience. And you've got people that are interested in one or the other. And some people are Tai Chi masters and they're interested in both. So this is why I draw the comparison, because I want to talk about this for a minute. If you go to like PC Master Race on Reddit, these are the primary subreddit of the dudes that build computers.
Reddit, the place to avoid if you're a technology person in general. I find it to be this. I find more useful information on fucking 4chan. I consider generically, unless it's a very specific Reddit to be the fucking shit stain on the underwear of the internet. Fucking terrible r/Linux. Like all of them are fucking an abomination. Like fucking goddamn coat hanger kind of fucking situation. Like they're fucking terrible. I hate Reddit.
Computers. And I've been building computers since I was like 12 or whatever. I've been on that subreddit a little bit. But you go on the subreddit and listen to these guys talk about computers. If you bring up Linux on that subreddit, from what I've seen, it's a 50-50 chance, a lot of 50-50s with this, that you either get supported or absolutely flamed. Absolutely flamed. You bring up Linux on that, and yeah, like if you go to any of the posts, even the ones that are like pretty high in upvote count, you'll have like a 50-50 in the comments of people flaming you for using Linux. And I think that's really sad, because what that shows to me is that those people who are doing that, who've built PCs that flame people for using Linux or still question why somebody would want to use Linux, they don't actually understand what they're talking about. Because it shows that they can't take their interest and sort of like extrapolate it to another area, right?
So I'm not even going to say that. It's not a, you're talking about controlling the hardware and software and all that stuff. So the PC master race jackwagons, they tend to view it as Berber PC gaming, Berber Windows. That's no, you can't build a gaming computer if you do without Windows. And it's like they're speaking from a 10, 15, 20-year-old perspective on Linux, which is fucking stupid. As an example, I don't talk about Mac OS or iPhone or all that stuff all that often, because I generally tend to avoid them like the fucking plague, but I do keep up and poke at it from time to time, just so my knowledge is up to date. A lot of these guys don't do that with Linux, or they fire up a VM and poke around and, insert new distro here for 10 minutes and say they run Linux. And it's like, no, you don't, or you haven't. So it's a pro-con situation. They are kind of like some Linux users. They're stuck in their ways. Ironic, isn't it? We take a lot from the Berber PC master race and just extrapolate it to software. They could take the control we like and understand that if they extrapolated that to how they view hardware. We just view it in software too. Some of us view it as both. I'm more of an appliance guy, so I view everything as an appliance. So I prefer a right tool, right solution kind of situation. Like for me, Windows on these is a fucking goddamn abortion. Fucking, I'd rather take a goddamn nail gun to the back of my head than fucking use Windows on that. But for what that is, I'm giving it its fair shot. Whereas the thing in front of me, which is the white version of that, runs Chimera OS, very much preferred. So again, you can put that level of extrapolation to both ends. So
because just like on Windows, where you and what I don't understand is why you wouldn't at least have mutual respect for somebody on in the opposite domain, right? Why would someone who's built a PC, gone through the pain of learning all the components, picking them out, putting them together, doing performance tuning, doing all that stuff, why would you not have mutual respect for somebody who's done the same thing but with their operating system and software instead? And that's why I think if you've built your computer yourself and you're running Linux on it, dude, you're having a good time. You're having a good time, and that's where I'm at the moment. I'm having a real good time. But yeah, like you could apply the same arguments for why people don't build PCs to not use Linux. You could make the argument that you've got to learn a whole bunch to use Linux. That's true. You got to learn a whole bunch to build a PC too. You got to choose parts. You got to look at compatibility. You got to learn how to put it all together. It could break on you at any point. The desktop PC could break at you on any point that you build, and you are responsible for fixing it. There's no, like, if your PC has a problem, you've got to troubleshoot it. You got to replace the part. You can't go to Dell or HP or whatever. And the same thing on Linux. You craft your software experience. If your software breaks, you got to fix it. It's literally the same thing. And that's why I don't understand these people who don't understand why anyone would want to use Linux on the PC building subreddits, right? It's fair enough if you're not really interested in one or the other, but at least have that mutual respect that somebody is doing the same thing that you're doing, just in the software realm and not the hardware realm. So yeah, that's kind of like the reasons why I use Linux. It's more fun. I have more fun using my computer. I want to craft my experience in both software and hardware so that I have the most fun when I use my computer. And trust me, I'm having a lot of fun. And I hope that if you are interested in the same things that I am, I hope you're having a lot of fun too. That's really it from me in this one. I got some cool stuff cooking in the kitchen, so stick around if you're interested in that. But yeah, otherwise, catch you around.
It boils down to control, integration. So, like, generally, if I'm going to do an integration solution from top to bottom as it relates to Linux specifically, from a hardware all the way down to software experience, I'm probably going to choose AMD level as far as just like strictly PC. As much as I have a NVIDIA card back there, I'm indifferent to like preference. But if I'm looking to build an appliance with the best integration, like myself, then yeah, it's going to be an AMD system. Or, Intel's not terrible either. I don't know how their dedicated stuff is on Linux. I haven't really been able to speak to that. But it all depends. Like what you're talking about is control at the end of the day. And that's how we need to sell Linux, is about the control that you have over your system. Because big mega corporation determining what I see in my OS is a bit kind of bullshit. I see a lot of Google shit. I can still get around Google. Microsoft is making it damn near impossible to get away from all their stupid shit. And that's becoming an even bigger problem. First, it was ads, whatever. Then it was ads in the file browser. Then it was pre-installed things like Candy Crush. Then it was pre-installed ads that we're seeing in the start menu now. Microsoft has made the product itself worse by doing such. OneDrive, Windows 11 updates if you're on Windows 10. Need I go on with all of this? The Windows 11, TPM stuff and whatever. There's so much that Microsoft has made for a Windows a shittier product because you control nothing on it. Despite whatever all the Windows fanboys want to say, the reality is you control jack shit on your system that Microsoft does not allow. You can tweak and move some stuff, but you're not going to be able to get rid of shit. Linux doesn't do that. You control the experience. So the fact that for him, control matters, and that's the selling point. And again, that's the selling point I keep harping on, that we need to emphasize better. You control your personal computing experience, not the corpse, not the megacorps, not Google, not Android. You determine how much info you give out. You determine top to bottom everything. It gives you the control. Whether or not you want that control is another story. And that some of that depends on how you view technology. Is technology a tool to just get some shit done? Then you're going to go for convenience. Is technology the lowest barrier to entry? You have no interest in it. Then you're going to use whatever is fucking thrown in front of you. People just don't understand the mentality of other people because of those people not having the same area of interest. So, like Linux users, oh my god, technology and Linux and blah 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 blah. And then it's like, bro, most people don't fucking care. So, a lot of Linux users will make the car analogy. I make the analogy to the fucking mechanic. Linux people are the mechanics. Everybody else that drives the millions of fucking cars just don't care. They want the car to go from point A to point B and don't give a shit how it fucking gets from point A to point B and all the shit that makes it go vroom vroom. That's most general computer users. Then the Linux guys are either the mechanics or the hobbyists. And I'm not saying like hobbyist in a detrimental term. The ones that enjoy it and want to know more and are the whole mechanics and the paid mechanics and like the in the know people. Those are the Linux people because they have that interest and passion in that area that other people might have in music or video games or technology, insert whatever, gardening, whatever. It doesn't fucking matter. So I think a lot of people just don't understand that because they, like you said, they can't extrapolate that level of interest into what somebody else might have a level of interest in because they don't share the same passion you might in your area. I don't know, but so for the Linux fanboys, what are some of the areas that you are interested in outside of Linux and technology? That's a more interesting question, I think. Because far too often do we get stuck down the weeds of Linux or technology. What areas of interest do you have outside of those? I know I got my areas of interest. One of them is actually one of my favorite areas of interest is actually reading. I love reading. So, and I mean like physical books. Like I love reading. So, what are some of the other areas that you guys love? Let me know. You guys know what to do. Comment, rate, subscribe, all that crap down below. And leave all that Patreon, etc., etc. I'll catch you guys on the flip. Peace.